G'day guys, welcome back to another video on Untitled Magic. My name is Coffee and today I'm going to be bringing to you guys the Priest Guide. So there's a couple of different builds that you can do. Single target, then you can do an AoE that sort of kind of works, not really. So that's going to be a very small portion of this video, and then there's the healing. So healing I don't generally like speaking about on Untitled Magic because I can't heal the dummy. Like I would love to, and I would love to show you how their ability works, but I just can't. So I'm going to be taking a build from somebody else that has shown me this build, and they actually heal me in heroic 10s and heroic 9s, and they seem to never run out of mana. They use mana potions of course, but they never run out of mana, and I'm always healed and my allies are always healed as well. So that's the build that I'm going to show you guys, and we're going to explain how it works in that. Okay, I will be putting timestamps moving forward down below so you guys can just skip to where you actually need. Alright, so first of all, the single target build, how it works is everything will go around your Q and around your Righteous Justice, pretty much. So we'll go through each one of these abilities, we'll talk about them really quickly, and then I'm going to do the rotation for you guys. So first of all, penalty here, it will deal damage to the enemy, and it's going to basically cast, when it casts, it will put a buff on you, and every time you have 4 buffs, it will make it so you can use your free enhanced, I suppose. You do 40% more damage on your third ability if you've got 4 buffs. Then we have your Seal of Heat. Don't underestimate this, guys. You make sure you never ever let the debuff drop on the enemy because it's actually worth a lot of damage. It's about 2500 damage for the stats that I've got. So if it does its whole rotation for 12 seconds or 15 seconds, it will do more damage than your other targets. But it's not just the damage that it does that it's nice. It gives a chance for your Righteous Justice to proc, and Righteous Justice and your Q are your primary damage dealers. So the more times they proc, the better off you're going to be for single targets. Then we have Fire Spirit, like I was saying, it just does, X amount of damage depending on how many buffs you have. Righteous Justice, which is your damage dealer, which will have 2 charges depending on the passives and stuff that you have down here to support those. And then we have our Q. So what Q does is it does a huge amount of damage, but it does it only on enemies that have low HP. It's got to be 30% and under, so basically it's an execution. So this build doesn't really work when it comes to just standard PvE mobs that have got low HP because they just die in 4 hits or 3 hits. But when it comes to bosses with stuff that were like 220k HP or 2.2 million HP, then 30% is like still 400k HP total. So you're going to get this rotation around, rotation off a lot of times, meaning a lot of single target damage. So we have Interrogation of a Heretic. Interrogation of a Heretic basically will do damage to the enemy, and it also will do 20% more damage to from the next direct spell that you guys cast. So we want to use our E in junction with our Q and in junction with our 4 as often as we can, okay, because it's only got a 15-second cooldown. Then we have Phantasium here. Basically, it will mana cost is decreased, and it says here cast time increased for a short time. Alright, so you want to use that in junction with your Q and your Interrogation of a Heretic. This will actually make your other skills proc when you first use it, as long as you've got these passives down here. So your opener, to give you an example, well, to show you what your opener will be, is that you always want to use your Seal of Heat. So I'm just going to do it on the low HP guy, and the only difference is that you're not going to be using your Divine Smite in your rotation. You would use your Divine Rotation when his HP drops a bit more. Everything else is exactly the same, however. So you would use your 2 to begin with, and then you get that going, okay? Then you would go ahead and use your E, because you want to do damage to him, as well as you want to make sure the next damage is going to be more. So as you've seen, I just done more damage than standard, but you want to make sure your Righteous Justice doesn't actually go down. In the sense, like, you don't want it to sit there on 2 and just stay there. Wait, I wasn't supposed to be using Divine Spirit. Too bad I did. And then we want to, when I use Divine Smite, it gives me the buff up here. So I've got 2. I'm going to go ahead and cast my penalty 2 more times, and now that's 3, and now it's 4. So my third ability has procced. At this point, you always want to use your Fire Spirit, and it's going to do more damage, 40% more than it would have to begin with. So it's not the highest damage dealing, but you're going to need to use this on enemies that are full HP to begin with, because you're not going to have the Q. Once the enemies are low HP, you would probably you wouldn't even really use Fire Spirit. You would use your Q, then you would use your E, and then you would use your 2 probably actually, because you need to get that debuff going, and then you press Q again, then you go ahead and start using your 4. and now your 4's gone ahead and procced because you've got more damage going off it, and you would use your 4 again. Then you go back to Q, because Q is on such a low cooldown. You use your Heretic, back to 4 again, and then you would use your 3 because it's instant cast because it procced. Then you go back to 4, or you would go back to 2 actually, because you need to get that debuff back on him. Then you use your Q, and then you can use your E, and then your Q. So it's extremely hard for me, guys, to explain to you how to do this rotation and make it sound like, you know, sense. It really is difficult to do these videos, but I'm just trying my best. So to recap, to break it down a bit easier and slow it down just a bit, you would use your Q on cooldown, you would use your E to make your cooldown on Divine Smite stronger, and then you would, if that's not available, you use your E to make your 4 stronger. Okay, but the rest of your abilities here will make it so your 4 procs and you'd be able to instantly cast it. So that's the whole goal behind this single target build, and it works quite well. Okay, so very quickly, the AoE side of what I recommend for the priest, everything stays the exact same except for the actives. They need to change up. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys what the runes are for the actives here. You can see it's red, and purple, and it's the Carrot Stick, Earth Purification, and Holy Echo. So these are very obvious choices that you guys want to have. And I actually recommend that if you've got the chance and you've got a tank that will save like even 1 second between bosses, or you're quickly enough can actually just do it without going ahead and purchasing this thing here. I would say that you go ahead and change it over to these 3 between the bosses and each trash mob in each dungeon, because it's definitely worthwhile for the damage that they do. So they're basically just AoEs. So I will use this one here as an example. The Q, it shoots from a distance and you can blow it up if you want to. It will heal allies in the area and also do a nice amount of damage. The cooldown is actually quite low, so it's not too bad. Then we have Earth Purification, which will basically place an AoE around this area and it's going to do damage. So you'd put that down on top of the trash mobs and it's just going to do damage overall all around. And then you would use your R. So your R has got, it's kind of expensive with your mana, so you can't just sit here and cast it over and over and over. But the damage that it does is actually not too bad. So if you were sitting there on top of enemies and you're in a tank that's actually able to pull 20 mobs or something like that, you can do a nice amount of damage. But something that you guys need to see before you, something that you need to take notice for this AoE build is that when you're doing this stuff, you're doing damage to everybody in the area. So your procs on Righteous Justice are gonna kind of go like a little bit crazy. So I would go ahead and cast R. I'm going to cast this E now. I'm going to show you guys how often it actually procs. I'm going to cast my Q. I'm going to use my 4 before I can actually use it again. Okay, now it's, there we go. So you can just do that and make sure you always use your 4 to wipe out the single targets when you're in the middle of a group. Because some of the targets like Priest and stuff like that, you don't want to just AoE them down. If you can single target wipe out a Priest that's healing the enemies, do it, guys. Make sure you cast that 4 and blow him up really quickly. And make sure you cast interrupts and stuff to try and stop them from doing those heals. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to talk about when it comes to the DPS side of the Priest. We tried out the other abilities, they're just not as good. They're just not as good. So yeah, definitely use this build here, guys. That's the AoE stuff. I would not change any of that stuff because by the time you get back to the next boss, it's just not worth your time. You just want to change your actives back to the single target ones, which is mainly Divine Smite. This one over here, and then this one here, just like so. And that will be back to your boss. Anyhow, now we're going to do the heal one. Oh, I forgot to mention the Awakening skill on this priest. So for the DPS, it's actually kind of crazy. So just go ahead and pop your ultimate like normal. Your 1 will make it so your 3 is used, or can able to use it more. So you would use your 1 to refresh your 3, sorry. And then your 2 is your big damage dealer, like it brings down the cross, that's crazy like. And your 4 will summon these mobs around you, so then you can use your other abilities and do more damage. I'm not sure why it's not proccing. There we go. So see that big crazy like priest like bloody cross that comes down? If you get that off 2 times in ultimate, no problem, and it does a lot of single target damage. So yeah, you use your 1 to refresh your 3, you use your 3 to do damage, you use 2 to use your damage, your single target damage, and you use your 4 in order to bring out mobs that will make your 1 hit more. So 4, you use cast free, cast, depends on the enemy actually, doesn't it? Yeah, you guys will work it out anyway. So don't underestimate the priest when it comes to single target DPS. Okay, I actually remembered I could use my heals on Freya. For some reason this NPC will allow me to heal her, so I can actually show you guys some of the abilities and what they do. So we're going to talk about these abilities here and what they do very briefly, and for those that do not want to watch and you just want to work it out for yourself, I'll open up the interface now. So these are the actives, the passives, and the standard 1 to 4 I use, and obviously you want to use High Priest, which is the healing stance. Alright, so your 1 is going to be your heal that does a substantial amount, 500 HP, and the low mana cost. You want to use this whenever you're not in a dangerous situation, but your tank just kind of needs to be topped up. Then we have Rebirth, which is going to be a dot that you're going to place onto your tank or whoever who needs that healing, and it's just going to continue to heal them over a period of time. Clean Shield, I would recommend that you guys use this one pretty frequently. It uses every 10 seconds, you basically put a shield onto the ally that you've got, and they increase healing they take, as well as damage over time is taken is reduced. So it actually adds a bit of a shield to them. So what this works is you can use your Rebirth and you can use your Clean Shield in junction with each other, and it will basically save more because it will save mana. They're going to take more healing from your 2 because they've got Clean Shield on them, and also they're going to take reduced damage because they've got the shield on them. So always use these 2 in junction with each other. We have Grace here, basic healing skill that restores 500 HP. So the first ability will have a 2-second cooldown, as you can see. Does 564 damage, 564 health. Your third ability, Grace, is an instant cast that's 853, but it has a cooldown. You would use it. The mana cost is, kind of high up there, but the real thing that you need to look at is that the fact that it's instant, and that's why you would use this one pretty often. Alright, so the actives, Land of Happiness, Song of Hope, and the Prayer. So, Prayer is extremely important and you should be using it on cooldown, because when it comes to heroics and the end game content, you're gonna run out of mana. That's a big issue that I see a lot of priests have. They go so then there's no heals coming out because they've got no mana. Yeah, so basically what Prayer does, it restores your mana. So if you're using Prayer, this ability here, and then you're using your mana potions, don't use them at the same time, just use them on rotation. You should never run out of your mana. You don't want to top up, you don't want to go to 3,700 and fill out, so that's why I'm saying use it on rotation to make sure you don't go over the cap, because you don't want to waste it. Then our Q, Land of Happiness, it will basically place down this AoE that will do healing, and then anything that's in the area will take increased healing. If I look up here, healing can heal extra 2 allies. So you would use your Q all the time in the area that the tank's in, and you will generally have like maybe an assassin that's kind of nearby, or a spellblade that's nearby as well. And when you've got that cast down, you're going to be healing them, but you would use your 1 on them as well, and that will heal the main target as well as heal the ally beside you. So make sure you use this on cooldown and just keep moving it with the flow of the battle. Then we have Song of Hope. So this is one of those abilities that you want to not use on cooldown. You use it in a bad situation. Basically, Song of Hope every 1 second deals 500 HP of allies around you, but it's got a 2-minute cooldown, and it's just pretty much, it just keeps casting for 8 seconds, and it does a nice amount of heals to everybody that's around me. So yeah, you would not be able to stand, you have to stand still, I believe, on that one. So yeah, you definitely don't want to use that on cooldown just when you're in a bad situation, or everybody's just got messed up by an AoE of some sort. Now, that pretty much does it for the healing. These are the passives. I'm not going to talk about them too much because just trust me guys, these are the ones that work with these abilities here. So make sure you set those up here. The one other thing that I would like to talk to you about is the Song of Hope. You can actually transfer your abilities in between battles, and the cooldown refreshes, not on the ability you use, but it refreshes, like in the sense that you can change this one here, and if you use this 2 minutes, to the other ability. Where is it? Here. Prayer Protection. So what this does here, it reduces damage received by your allies and can be used in control state. and I would use it on decrease and increase of received damage by 50%. For cooldown, yeah, probably one of these. What that means, I believe, like translations, right, is that basically the person that you use it on is going to make it. This is not my first priest, by the way.
Godspeed.
They're going to take decreased damage for a period of time. It's just a mitigation skill, so reduction of damage taken. There we go. And based on what we've seen so far, it's about 40%, 50%. Let me have a look, see if I can actually find some numbers on it. Yeah, so 50% can be used in disoriented state, confused, etc. Now, in certain dungeons, I main a tank. There's going to be certain positions where, or certain packs where, even if I use my own mitigation and I increase my HP to 30k, if all the abilities from 4 casters come at me at one time on a +8 or +9, I'm going to die. Like, I can't actually stop it. I need crowd control from the Spellblade to freeze them, and so then we can single target one and I can take damage for free. However, as a priest, if you're quick, between the different pools, you can just change over to your prayer of protection, and when your tank goes into it, you've just added an extra 50% mitigation onto him. He's going to be able to tank it, and then you just heal him up, and then you don't die. But yeah, so it's a very important skill. I highly recommend that you change between prayer of protection and the Song of Hope, depending on the situation. Oh, and the last thing that, we forgot to mention, again, because, awakening skills, I always forget about them. The 4 abilities here, we'll just quickly read them, and then we'll use them in junction. Recovers 700 HP of all allies while imposing 1 level of grace. So grace is not another word that I see in here, so what I assume is it means blessings here. This one here recovers 400 HP of all allies within 20 meters, so 20 meters is quite large. It imposes 1 level of blessing, max level 5, so that's just another buff that you increase for your third ability. If you use Ode Book of Gods, uses Odes as well. Then this one here spends all the blessings, meaning that you got from the 1 and 2 here. For your mobile book on the state of the creation, every second recovers 400 HP during 3 seconds, etc, etc. And it basically uses the blessings to increase the duration by 1 second. So you ideally want to have 5 blessings before you go ahead and use your 3. And your 4, Massive Light, usually would use this on your ultimates pretty early on because they have a huge cooldown and you can't actually use them twice on most classes. Invokes Light, gathering for all allies at once, and consumes up to 30% health at the same time, health growth rate and crit rate plus 10% for 20 seconds. So let's just go ahead and pop it and see it in action. So I would use my 4 and it should have healed everybody. Whoop, I shouldn't use my 3, but that's okay. I'll use my 1 and I want to heal her up, and I'm going to make my blessings go up. It was, so that's it. And then you use your 3 and then that's going to do more healing. It's going to extend the duration of your book for your 3. Like that. That's pretty much all there is to it. Use your 1, use your 2 when it comes down, and makes your 3 extend longer, therefore healing everybody in your entire group. Anyhow guys, I hope that this priest guide has helped you, even if it's helped you just a little bit, and if it has, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the channel and consider subscribing. Weeb and I do a bunch of different MMOs. We don't know what we're going to be playing next. It could be Archage, Unchained, it could be Oath when that eventually comes out, and I may end up going back to Crowfall. Not really sure, but definitely keep an eye out for that stuff, because we move around and we do different games. I've done recently Legends of Aria. I did some Crowfall stuff. I did, what was that other game? I've forgotten it anyway. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Until next time, coffee out.